Hello, welcome back to part 2 of chapter 4 on my Ancestral Tarot journey. Now, in part 2 of chapter 4, we're looking at spreads and how we're going to be communicating with the ancestor that we've chosen to work with. Now, in the earlier part of this chapter, we looked at creating the sort of flow charts for the personality, for the archetype, and for the everyday life of the different ancestors on our flow charts or part of our family trees. Now, in this one, you have to pick an ancestor off the tree. If a lot of the people on your tree are here alive, fantastic. Choose somebody that's passed, even if you didn't know them, okay? Because this is where the communication comes in. So, you're asked in this section to journal quite a bit. You journal the spread. You make note of the ancestor that you've chosen, because no doubt you'll be working with that ancestor again in this exercise. But draw out the spread, as I have done here, and write the questions. You're not having to refer to the book all the time. I have it open on the next chapter, ready to go on with the next section after this. So I've chosen one person, and that person will remain nameless, but they're here. The questions are here, and we're going to lay out the spread here. So once again, I'm going to use my Universal Celtic Tarot. I'll pop my Moon Baby there for now, and my Robin Wood there, and we'll take out the Universal Celtic Tarot. Now, with this deck, we shuffle it until you are ready to lay out the spread. Now, for this section, the spread is in the form of a question mark, and that is really apt because we are asking questions of this ancestor, about this ancestor, and how this ancestor can help us at this moment in time. So let's take it from there, shall we? Right. Now, I'm going to pick out 5 cards. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just cards that you're drawn to along the way. Now, in the order that I picked them out with, I'm going to place them in the form of the question mark. So just move that so you can see what I'm doing here. So card 1, card 2, card 3, so we need a bit more space here. Move in there. Card 1, 2, 3, 4, and the bottom of our question mark here, which is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, creating that question mark. So question 1 is, how can I open the portal to communicate with this person? So let's see what we've drawn. We've got the 8 of Wands. Now, here we know that this is everything quickening up, okay? Things are starting to move. So how can I open the portal to communicate with this person? I have to think quickly, I have to think fast, I have to act quickly and not dilly-dally around, I'm either doing this or I'm not. But communicating, once I start communicating, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through my tarot, but once I start that, things will start moving and I'll start picking up little messages, little signs, little indications that we are now in direct line, in direct link with each other. Now, how does this work? Let's have a look. With the 8 of Wands, I have to use all my skills and talents, because as we know, wands are all about our creativity, our skills, our talents. And I have to use my skill and talents both in tarot, in connecting with spirit, and in being able to swiftly pick out signs that I am being communicated with. So it's not sitting back on my laurels and making sure that I'm working succinctly. Okay? So, being open, trusting in my own skills and talents, and getting on with the job. Card number 2. How does this person want to be present in my life? So let's see what number 2 is. The Page of Swords. He wants to learn all about me. Okay, so he wants to learn all about me just as much as I want to learn about him. So this is going to be a two-way thing. Our Page of Swords, it's, you know, being there, being direct, communicating, sometimes being a little bit overconfident in having things to say, and yet it's almost, you know, it's a case of having to remember to listen as well as to use this. So it's going to be a two-way thing of listening and speaking, listening and seeing, listening and receiving. So this is what we're going to have to, all from a very new, young perspective. Okay? Now, how can I honour this person? Card number 3. Queen of Swords. Well, isn't it strange? We have, how is this person going to be present in my life? And we have the Page of Swords. And I'm given the Queen of Swords as to how I can honour this person. So I can honour this person by having respect. I can honour this person by listening as well as speaking. I can honour this person by acknowledging that they exist or existed. I can acknowledge this person, I can honour this person by being respectful in the way I communicate. Being sure of my words, but also being honest. Not to have a fluffy, sort of woolly outlook, but to be direct and to be me. Card number 4, what can I learn from this person? 5 of Cups. Oh, 5 of Cups. And it's telling me to look at what I've got in my life. Look at what you have. Don't look at what's gone. Don't live in the past, but live in the future. Live in the present and look forward to the future. Realise that I do have support from those that are living as well as those that are past, but not to live in the past. Not to dwell on what could have been and wasn't, but to dwell on what is, what was, what is, and what will be. What message does this person have for me at this time? Page of Cups. To acknowledge my emotions, to acknowledge that this is a new relationship, to acknowledge that to know that this is a new step for both of us, and that in our own ways we'll be there for each other. That we take small steps, in one sense, to keep a rein on our emotions, and to know that you can reach out and you'll get answers. To be joyous, to realise there's more than one way to communicate. My goodness. My goodness. Wow. That's very powerful. I better take some notes here. Right, so let's have a look. I'm just going to pause while I take some notes, because if I don't take them now, I'll forget. Wow, this is actually more powerful than I thought it would be. excuse the chewing noise in the background. Sam's got his dog chew and he's rather noisy with it. So we had 8 of Wands for card number 1. For card number 2 we had the Page of Swords. Card number 3 we had the Queen of Swords. 4 was 5 of Cups. And 5 was Page of Cups. And isn't that strange, with 3 court cards there, and with predominantly cups and swords with 1 wand. Cups and swords with 1 wand, my goodness. Wow, hey. I actually am actually quite blown away with this spread and with what I've taken from the cards. Maybe some of you might spot something different in the cards that I've drawn out, and maybe you have picked something different up, and if you have, do share. You know, say, well, you know, Elaine, maybe have you considered this, that it could be coming from that angle. You know, I'm open to both help, advice and assistance in this. Okay, Sam, down you go, boy, come on. Right, now, let's have a look. So I'm going to write my notes up afterwards. I'll actually just leave that there for a second, because that has actually gone, giving me a bit of a wow moment. Now, if you know the birth dates of anyone on your chart, I don't on this particular one, compare their sun sign with the court card you drew for them. Okay, now there's no point me doing that because I'm unaware of this information at the moment. So that is part that I will come back to in a second, and we'll look at the astrological correspondences when I get the information of the birth date, but I don't have that at the moment. So now that you have had time to work with the cards and the elements, didn't use, oh, that's with the astrological association, yeah. I can't do those just yet. So now this next step is actually ritual work. So that is something that I will do privately off camera. It'll take a few minutes to just create an energetic space into which you invite the ancestor. You might want to place an object in the centre of your tarot reading cloth that is symbolic of the person from whom you want a message. For example, if I want to connect with my mother, I use a flat round disc of garnet, Mum's birthstone. For you, it might be a ring, a favourite watch, a tie, hat, or even a coffee cup. I like lighting a candle to open a ritual for ancestral work. Then I'll say a prayer, ask for a blessing, or purify with sage. You can find several suggestions for ritual work in chapter 11. Well, that's something that we will be coming to, and I'll probably go ahead and have a look at that and then come back for the next video. If you can't burn sage inside where you live, I have a massively sensitive smoke detector, so burning can be a challenge. You can purchase various botanical sprays. I use black sage spray for cleansing both my area and my cards. Whichever ritual you choose to use, remember the intent: to contact an ancestor using your tarot deck and ask for meaningful messages. For my draw, I asked for a message from my mum, my dad, and from them as a couple. If you have trouble connecting, call in your spirit guide and ask for help. Which ancestor do you most want a message from at this time? Someone you recently lost, a distant ancestor, or someone in spirit you did not get along with? Choose wisely. Mum's message to me was the 9 of Cups. Before my mum crossed over, she told my siblings that the only person she worried about leaving was me. So I was thrilled to receive a message from her that told me to be happy and to celebrate life with all its quirks, turn-ups and downs. Mum embraced humankind in every fashion. It's no surprise that her message was one of love and celebration. Isn't that lovely? I have to admit, Dad's was confusing. The tarot cards that popped out for his message was the 4 of Wands, typically called the marriage card. I don't think Dad was saying go get married, but rather to get some friends together to celebrate a special occasion or an achievement. Lastly, I drew 1 card as a message from Mum and Dad, the couple. The card I drew was the 3 of Wands. Now this one was a surprise and actually threw me. The first thing I heard was from both of them, Nancy, your ship is coming in, and it's coming in really, really soon. Now I don't have a clue what ship they're referring to. I did draw a clarifying card from an animal deck. I drew a hawk, the messenger. When I saw the card, the first thing was, those cheeky fairies are at it again. It was the confirmation that something was coming in a ship stroke a message. It turns out the hawk is also one of my spirit guides. Wow, okay. So, for this one here, this is jumping ahead. We've got this. This is selecting an ancestor and getting to know this ancestor spread. So we've done this. We've selected the ancestor, or I selected the ancestor, and I've asked questions and I've had answers. I haven't gone on to the astrological correspondences. I'm actually going to do this spread again with, I may choose the Robin Wood deck to do this next spread, to get in touch with another ancestor to do the same thing and also ask the same questions, because I do feel that this is to be done repeatedly for different ancestors, depending on who you want to get in touch with and how many you want to get in touch with. Now, to do this again, when I use my Robin Wood, I'm going to choose my father, and I will also be able to work on the astrological correspondences with him there, and be able to ask questions that I would like answering. So that is looking at the spread of getting to know an ancestor. I am absolutely blown away with this one. I'm absolutely blown away with the answers that I got. And I actually found it quite a wow moment, to be quite honest with you, because they were quite direct answers to the questions in that spread. Once I have gone on and done this again, with another deck and a different ancestor, and using the astrological signs and the elements, astrological correspondences and elements, I will be able to get an even deeper message again. Now, there's another spread here, one of many patterns, okay? Now, let's have a look. So far you've been looking at majors, minors and courts for a few people on your family tree. Now let's look at what ideas have been passed down the chain from grandparents to parents and then to you. Oh, this will be interesting. The spread shown on page 66 is just the tip of the family pattern iceberg. I am particularly fond of this spread because it can help you understand and begin to change unhealthy patterns that you may constantly repeat. This spread can help you get a handle on the legacy that steered you into making your choices. Use the whole deck. I'm going to go back to my Universal Celtic for this one. That one I'm going to do for another ancestor, and I'm also going to use my moon baby for a further ancestor again. But that's to be done when we've had a go at doing this. Okay. And I think this brings us, actually then not far off, yeah, it brings us to the end of chapter 4. So it's nice having spreads to work with and to ask direct questions, because to be quite honest with you, they can be quite eye-opening, to say the least. Now, let's have a look at this. I'm going to leave space to write up notes from that last spread there. This one. We have 7 cards. So let's shuffle and pick the 7 cards. So how do we lay these out? It's an inverted pyramid, very similar to a spread I often do for people that I read for. So we have 1, 2, 3. Then we have 4, 5, 6 and 7. So card number 1. This is one of many patterns, this spread is called. One of many patterns. So card 1. What pattern I inherited from the family? Oh, this will be interesting. What pattern I inherited from the family? Knight of Pentacles. And this particular knight is beautiful, full of strength, red, because I'm Welsh, it's dragon. So, not afraid to rush into battle. That's as dead, and that would be very right. Wanting to protect my own, wanting to travel, wanting to head into battle when I think there's an injustice. So, not afraid to face what's coming my way. Okay. So what have I inherited? I'd say bravery, directness, very earthy, prepared to defend my own and to stand up. And there are some crop circles in the field over there. I don't know if you can see this, but in the field over there are crop circles, and that actually looks, if you were to look at it there, it looks like a cursive letter E, you know, the curled E, up, around and around. There. Elaine. Strange, isn't it? Very much so. Okay, question number 2. What pattern my dad passed down to me? So let's have a look. What pattern did my dad pass down to me? The 4 of Wands. Yeah. To celebrate life. To not be afraid to celebrate my achievements. And, you know, we usually see the 4 of Wands with a couple, and this is very, very... Look at this. We have a single person here. And it's almost like a hut of knowledge, you know. But we know it's all about celebration. But this, I feel, is not so much celebration as in a family sort of marriage, etc. This is celebrating your skills and talents, celebrating your abilities, and celebrating your ability to go off and learn something new for you. And that would be very much what my father would have taught me. So the question for that was, what pattern had my dad passed down to me? To take pride in what I do and celebrate it. Okay. To have faith in my own skills and achievements, my own abilities. Yeah. What pattern my mum passed down to me? Well, my mum is still here, but she's very right. Look at things that don't serve me anymore. Don't take the same path, don't make the same mistakes. Take it at the road that best serves you. You know, look at where things didn't work out and how can you make them work out again for you. And that would be very much sort of what Mum would say. Well, if it didn't work, how can we get around this? And Mum would be very practical and very no nonsense in the sense that, right, okay, that hasn't worked, let's see how we can make it work. So judging the situation and moving on. So that was the Judgment card. Excuse me. Now, oh, do excuse me. I hate you getting itchy in the throat like that. Card number 4, this one over here. What pattern Dad's dad passed down to him? 2 of Cups. Definitely 2 of Cups. Wow. Okay. To work as a pair. To trust and have faith in each other. To trust and have faith in himself. Card number 5. What did Dad's mum pass down to him? King of Wands. Yep. Yeah. Be strong. She passed him down strength. She's given him strength, but she's given him a lot of things to ponder. Look here. We have a wonderful King of Wands here. But look what the sparks that have come off the wand. They're all runic symbols. So she's given him puzzles to solve. She's given him things that he needs to work out for himself. She's given him a bit of a conundrum, but she's also given him the strength of faith and the strength of hard work. Made him an honest, reliable, hard-working leader. who actually didn't know his own strengths. Now, card 6, what pattern Mum's dad passed down to her? Knight of Swords. Wow. Wowee, look. The Knight of Swords. That's a strange card. I'm going to have to ponder that one, because this is coming from an extremely quiet individual going to an extremely quiet individual. That one needs pondering. We have the Knight of Swords for that. This is going to be interesting pondering, shall we put it that way? And what did Mum's mum pass down to her? My 9. Justice. You know, all the people that are appearing on this reading are genuinely good people. 2 completely different sides, complete polar opposites, and that is very much shown in how it's made me the Knight of Pentacles. There's the having belief in me and strength and standing up for what is right. There's the have the faith in myself when things aren't working out for me. Which way do I go? How do I change it? But this is coming down from Knight of Swords, of being a learner, going out there, not afraid to charge in where angels fear to tread, you know, and that you wouldn't think you would see in my mum, but you definitely see it in me. So does it skip a generation, or is it just lying dormant and only comes out now and again when necessary? As for the Justice, that fits in very much with the Judgment of looking and seeing, you know, well, that's not right, we'll fix it. And that's how it was. That's how life was, you know. There's an awful lot to think about here, a huge amount to think about. And it's beautiful. So I have done these 2 exercises. The last bit in the book is just to fill in a few journal notes, and that brings us to the end of chapter 4. So far on my journey, what have we looked at? What have I learned? Well, we've looked at the personality, we've looked at the working life, we've looked at the archetypes. Then getting into the first spread, the question mark, and getting to know an ancestor. That's a lovely activity that we have managed to do here together and see how it works. Now we can take it away from the table and go and practice it and look at it with different ancestors, go deeper, look at the astrological and the elemental the astrological correspondence with the elements, and really dig deep. This has been an enjoyable session. I don't want to make it too long. We've come to the end of chapter 4. So this is how it's going. I'm going to spend a little bit of time off camera looking at it at a deeper point of view, and just grabbing all the information I can and making it mine, you know. If you see the portrait there, that lovely pencil portrait there, that I'll just share with you now before I close up, is my father. And my friend Pauline had that beautiful portrait sketched by a very talented artist here in Arklow called Sil Walsh, and presented it to me before I went to my family in Wales for Christmas. Did it choke me up? Oh, too right it did. And I've decided to keep that portrait here in my my working space when it comes to my tarot and all things esoteric, and also my arts and crafts, because that's my dad watching over me. He's here anyway, but that's probably one of the best gifts I've ever had. So, on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you for joining me today, and I'm looking forward to starting chapter 5. God knows what it's all about, because I haven't looked ahead. I've been so pulled in different directions since we've come back from our festive time, and you know we're halfway through January already, and it's winter here. Yet today I managed to get out for a brilliant bicycle ride. Did all my chores this morning. I'm bang on target with what I wanted to do. I've swapped this afternoon's activity. I was going to do some writing this afternoon and then do this tomorrow, but I've decided to swap the two around, so I'm still on target, still going ahead. And now I'm going to go and prepare tonight's tea for us all. So take care. I hope life is treating you well, and 2022 has got off to a good start for you all. And if it hasn't, remember, sit back and work a way around any hurdle that's come your way. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye now.